All right, welcome back to the Pig and a Pickle Krug Show. Larry Krueger with you here on day 3 of the NFL Draft, and the Niners have made another selection, and we'll talk about it. A wide receiver out of Arizona, and a good one at that. But first, we are brought to you by Pig and a Pickle, the best barbecue in all of Northern California. Check them out in Emeryville and Corte Madera. They're open 7 days a week from 11 a.m. till 8 p.m., or until they run out. Go get the brisket chili. Go say hi to Damon and Mary and tell them that Larry Krueger sent you. We're also brought to you by Sharp Corners Sports Cards and Collectibles in Monterey. Check them out. Give Anthony Catania a call down there at Sharp Corner Sports Cards and Collectibles. And the first Friday of every month, down in May, June, July, August, and September, they're going to have kind of a street fair thing in the evenings with free food and an opportunity to buy and trade sports collectibles down there at Sharp Corner Sports Cards and Collectibles in Pacific Grove. And give Anthony Catania a call there in Pacific Grove. All right, let's talk a little bit about the 49ers' most recent draft choice, and that's Jacob Cowing, a wide receiver from the University of Arizona. He started off at UTEP, and then transferred in. Interestingly enough, Cowing has been working out this offseason in Arizona with Ricky Pearsall. How about that? And now they're teammates with the 49ers as the Niners take him with pick number 135. So let's talk a little bit about Cowing. He's a small wide receiver, 5'8", 163 pounds, born and raised in Arizona. His dad was a high school star at Long Beach Poly down in Southern California. He went to high school at Maricopa High School. Jacob did, the son, in Maricopa County and there in Arizona. He was a wide receiver and a running back, played cornerback, was a kick returner, great athlete. He also played high school basketball, ran track, set the school record for the 100 meters and the 200 meters while in high school. So he was a 2-star high school recruit, didn't get a lot of offers. UTEP did give him an offer. He was there, or they were his lone FBS offer, so he took it. He went to UTEP and went and played for the Miners, and he led them in receiving 3 years in a row. So, really, really productive player for UTEP, was a star basically at UTEP. And then in 2019, Jacob became a father. As a college freshman at the age of 18, his son Chase was born to him, and him and his girlfriend, I believe, and he was named after the ASU cornerback Chase Lucas, who I believe is now with the 49ers. So his son is named after Chase Lucas. Anyway, Jacob transferred from UTEP to Arizona. So because his kid was living in Chandler, Arizona, he was going to UTEP. He wanted to be closer to his son. So he transferred from UTEP and didn't think he was going to get any Power 5 offers, but Arizona State, and a bunch of other schools wanted him, and he chose Arizona, and Jed Fish brought him to the Wildcats. So, and he wanted to be closer to his son. And then one of his NIL deals at Arizona was Boys and Girls Clubs of America, which is very cool. He was the offensive MVP of the bowl game against Oklahoma. He's a slot wide receiver with explosive track-like speed. And he's also a very tenacious, try-hard blocker. He's put everything he's got into it, even though he's only 5'8". But he's a tough kid. He's a punt returner as well at Arizona State. He had 13 touchdowns with the Wildcats. And this is a guy, he led Arizona to a 10-win season and was just a dominant figure operating out of the slot. This is a guy that can separate on vertical routes and can get down the field. He ran 4.38. He even plays a little faster than that. He was the only FBS player with at least 85 receptions or in each of the last 2 years. So he's been a very consistent player the last 2 years. He's also the only player in all of the FBS this year who had at least 90 receptions and at least 12 touchdowns. So very, very productive, very, very fast. As I said, he can separate and get vertical and make plays down the field out of the slot. So, The Niners have their big slot receiver in Juwan Jennings, and now they've got a speed slot receiver in Jacob Cowings and Cowing, I should say. And he's really an impact guy. I mean, if you watch him, home run hitter, makes lots and lots of big plays, 4.38 speed. He was clocked at 4.41 at the combine. Then I think ran 4.38 in the local pro day, 1.52, 10-yard split. So he's super quick. What I like about this guy is there's a lot of speedy guys in this draft, but there aren't a lot of speedy guys who are also great route runners with great ball skills. This guy's got really good ball skills, and he's a really good, crisp route runner, and he's got that 4.4 speed. 4.38, 4.41. All pretty damn fast right there. He's a small player. He's 5'8", 163 pounds, but he doesn't play small. He plays big. And the fact that he's been working out with Pearsall shows that, his dedication to his craft and a desire to get better. If he could get some of what Ricky has, which is this incredible ball skills and route running, if he could improve his route running and his ball skills, Cowing could be a major, major player for the 49ers. So, really interesting story. From the standpoint, he started at UTEP and then becomes a pop, and then suddenly doesn't want to be away from his kids. So he says, I'm going to transfer. And he was thinking he was going to go transfer to an FCS school in Arizona. Instead, Arizona and Arizona State both wanted him. Jed Fish brings him to Tucson, and man, great 2-year run in Tucson. And by the end of the year, he was absolutely in fuego. If you watched Cowing at the end of the year, he was just totally dominant in the whatever they call is it the Civil War? No, that's Oregon. It's maybe the Territorial Cup or something like that. I think it is. Arizona ASU is the big matchup in the desert. In that game, Jacob Cowing had 9 catches, 157 yards, and a touchdown. So he was monster against ASU and really led the Wildcats to victory. Then they go to the bowl game against Oklahoma. Oklahoma, I'm sure, was favored against Arizona. And in that game, it was a magical day for the Wildcats. 7 catches for Jacob Cowing for 152 yards and 2 touchdowns against the Sooners. And Arizona pulled the upset and knocked off Oklahoma in the I think it was the Alamo Bowl. So there you go. Those were his last 2 college games. 16 catches for over 300, almost 310 yards and 3 touchdowns in his last 2 games alone. So this is a very productive player. He's a small player, but man, he's productive. And look at the Niner wide receiver room now. You got Ricky Pearsall and Jacob Cowing. You got Brandon Ayuk and Deebo Samuel and Juwan Jennings. You still got Danny Gray. You got Chris Conley. You got Ronnie Bell. You brought in Trent Taylor as a return man. I mean, there's gonna be an intense competition there this summer because most teams keep 5, sometimes 6. The Niners have 9 or 10 legitimate wide receivers that they're going to camp with. Well, and only half of them are either going to get cut or traded or put on the practice squad or whatever. But man, that's great competition. So is there going to be a trade of Ayuk or Samuel? I don't know. John Lynch says it sounds like it's not going to happen, but man, they are sure loaded at the wide receiver core. And what I love is that Pearsall gives them a really sure-handed middle of the field guy, but Cowing gives them that explosive element. So now they've been waiting on Danny Gray. And I would imagine Jacob Cowing and Danny Gray are going to have a battle royale this summer. They're not going to take 2 speed guys, most likely. They're probably just going to take 1. So can Gray refine and kind of rekindle his career and establish himself? He hasn't even gotten on the field. He's been hurt so frequently. Or is Cowing going to take the job and be that speedster? I would say I'd give the edge to Jacob Cowing based on what I've seen. But that thing's wide open. So I like what the Niners are doing here on day 3. I mean, they add a lot of speed in Isaac Correndo in the backfield. Then they add a lot of speed with Jacob Cowing at wide receiver. And suddenly they have, some home run hitting ability. and that's great to see. So, absolutely great to see. Kev jumps in here. Kev, we got a couple chats before we jump out, but give me your thought on Jacob Cowing from Arizona, the newest 49er.
Yeah, I really like the pick. It seems like we've been saying that a lot, and I'm not just saying it because they took him. Looking into the guy before the draft, really like him. The only thing you don't like about him is his size. His size, weight, and height are, low. He's small. He's a really small guy, and that's concerning in the NFL. But this guy has rapid acceleration. Don't think Danny Gray speed. It's different. He has like a quickness to him, like he has speed in short areas that is just elite. And, he can run away from people, and he's going to be a slot guy in the NFL, but he has good hands. He's a baller. I really like the pick. He has a swagger to the way he plays. He plays bigger than he is, in my opinion, considering he's 5'8", 168 pounds. He plays bigger than that, but I like the pick.
Yeah, I mean, to me, just the home run ability is really great to see, The other thing, can you look it up? Chase Lucas, the 49er free agent that they signed in the offseason, did he play at ASU or did he play at Arizona? I mean, where's Chase Lucas from? Because that one of the things in the bio for Cowing is that he named his son Chase after Arizona State cornerback Chase Lucas. Is that the same Chase Lucas the Niners signed this offseason?
Yes.
How random is that? That's amazing. So the Niners' fourth-round draft choice named his son after a guy the 49ers drafted or signed as a free agent this offseason. and they could go up against each other in camp. Chase Lucas on one side and Jacob Cowing on the other side, and he named his son Chase after Chase Lucas. That's interesting.
Some people in the chat are complaining, saying that we're not criticizing enough. I don't really know how you criticize this. I mean, the criticism would be, look, he's small. He's small, but you're drafting him in the fourth round, the late fourth round. So you're not going to find a perfect prospect. You're really just looking for certain traits, and he has certain traits, and those traits are he's extremely quick, he's fast, and he makes plays. So
he's been a productive player, and he's been healthy. And I don't know, you heard me read those stats, but the only FBS player over the last 2 years with 85 receptions in each of the last 2 years, and he's the only FBS player this year who had at least 90 catches and at least 12 touchdowns. So, I mean, we're talking about a productive slot receiver who they brought in. He was one of their 30 visits. They showed interest. He had 13 touchdowns this year. I mean, I don't know. I watched Arizona, Oklahoma, and he absolutely dominated that game. And that was the bowl game. He had 7 catches for 152 and 2 touchdowns against the Sooners in that Alamo Bowl. So, yeah, I mean, the negatives are obvious. He's a smallish receiver, who runs 4.3, runs 4.38, or 4.41. So there are faster guys and there are plenty of bigger guys. And he wasn't a highly recruited guy out of high school, only a two-star recruit. The only opportunity he had was to go to UTEP. But there's not a ton of negative there in that, other than, he might be smothered by NFL corners, and we'll see if he can create space. But at Arizona, he got loose vertically. He created separation vertically down the field. So that's good to see. The Niners don't have too many receivers like that.
He's not going to succeed against press man coverage, but that's not really he's probably not going to face a lot of that, considering he's not going to be on the outside. It's going to be on the inside slot only, pretty much. I mean, like 70 to 80% of his snaps were slot snaps in college. And looking at the PFF stable metrics, PFF has stable metrics where they they kind of evaluate players on their metrics that they seem or that they've deemed to be the most like accurate when like predicting if a player will be good at the next level. He's 94th percentile in reception grade versus single coverage, 96th percentile in reception grade versus zone coverage, 83rd percentile in open target percentage, 81st percentile in separation versus single coverage, 83rd percentile in yards per route run. So he does grade out really well in certain areas that PFF has deemed to be like, translating into the next level. So he does have a lot of upside. I think he definitely has a really good chance of being a productive player. And that's good value in the 4th round.
Who's getting cut from this receiving core? I mean, they just got a ton of guys suddenly. I mean, think about it. I mean, you got Cowing, you got Pearsall. Then, of course, you got your big 3 of Debo, Ayuk, and Jennings. That's 5
You're
right
there.
there.
Carry like 7, right? Probably 7, 6 or 7.
Well, I guess they're probably going to have to. I mean, Chris Conley, Ronnie Bell, Tay Martin, Trent Taylor, all those guys are kind of on the outside looking in if they keep 5. I mean, they've kept 5 at times in the past. So that's going to be interesting. But I'll say this. I felt like they needed some more playmaking ability on offense, and to add Pearsall and now Cowing with some vertical speed, and to add Garendo, who could give you either just an incredibly dynamic fullback or kind of a big back with straight line speed who you can throw it to. I think they've added 3 guys there that are pretty exciting weapons. So, and 2 guys who run in the 4.3s. So that's good. Why don't we read our one super and we'll jet, and then we'll come back and do another one after the Niners go in round 6 and 7. They have 2 more picks left.
Yo Stricken says, Larry, Kevin's doppelganger from Tucson here. I watched every UA game live this year, and Cowing is a star. He had the most consecutive games with a reception in NCAA history. His game speed is obvious. There you go.
Yeah. It's like 58 straight games with a catch or something, some ridiculous thing like that. We also have this one as well from Blood Moon.
Cut Conley, Gray, and the hard truth is Bell. Ronnie Bell, cutting Ronnie Bell. They have a lot of receivers. Yeah,
it's going to be a great competition. Ronnie Bell, nothing will be handed to Ronnie Bell this summer. That's for damn sure. Sure.
I mean, going into today, I was looking at the Niners receiver room saying, this is a good room. And I was also looking at the draft board and saying there's a lot of good receivers out there, but I just didn't think they were going to go another receiver because of how many guys they already have. But I guess they want competition, they want the best guys out there. So
yeah,
they ran back.
And by the way, Sione Vaki went to Detroit. You saw that, right? Vaki's in Detroit.
I didn't see that. I did tweet out before the 4th round saying I think the Niners are going to go safety here in the 4th round, and they went safety. I
love Malik Mustafa. I mean, they've had a really good day today. So it's basically been Malik Mustafa, Garendo, and Cowing, right? Those are their 3 picks today.
Who have been 3 players that we've talked about ad nauseum this offseason.
Yeah, a lot, really an awful lot. And we talked a lot about Renardo Green as well. So they're getting a lot of our favorite guys. All right, 2 more picks to go. We'll be back with more, and then we'll do a little live stream later this evening. Hopefully we'll get Lo Neal in the house, and we can break it all down. So that's coming up later today. But look for our video after the Niners pick in the 6th round. And until then, thanks for supporting the Krug Show. Thanks for supporting Pig in a Pickle. And peace.
Yeah, never met a man I've been scared of. Careful, you gon' get exactly